What are the different lease types in commercial property? Today I'm going to discuss what are the different options a landlord or an owner has and which one could be the best one to use. So if this is the first time we're meeting, my name is Tim Diesel and this channel is designed to give you strategies and insights you could use in your business and your real estate career. All right, so what's the first kind of lease? The first kind of lease you're going to look at the first lease is a gross lease. And what a gross lease is basically everything is covered. This is a really tenant-friendly lease. You go into an office and you're leasing out the space. If I'm obligated to pay $1,000, that's all I pay. I pay $1,000 and I'm all set. And that's my bill every single month. Very, very good for the tenant. Now, so the second kind of lease is a net lease. And with a net lease, basically means you pay a certain percentage of what you occupy. So, if there is a 1,000 square foot building and you're using 10%, you pay 10% of what you use. That's in a net lease. Now there's 3 or 4 different kinds of net leases, all right? So you have a single, you have a double, triple. All right, so a single means you pay 10% of whatever you occupy. Now, most of the time there's 3 things, all right? So you're gonna have taxes, insurance, and then you're gonna have maintenance. So it's very, very simple. You're paying your portion of taxes for a single. On a double, you're paying 2 things. You're usually paying taxes and insurance, and on a triple net lease, you're paying all 3. And that's the difference between the net leases there. So you have a single net lease, a double, or triple. And the difference is, single you'll pay your taxes, double you'll usually pay your taxes and insurance, and triple you'll pay taxes, insurance, and maintenance. Now I should probably add that most brokers are misusing the term. Triple net does not mean the tenant pays for everything. It's absolutely not true. An absolute net means the tenant pays for everything. So if you have a warehouse and it's an absolute net deal, that means they pay for everything. They pay for the roof, the parking being cratered, whatever else, whatever's in that lease agreement. So if your AC goes out and it's not in the lease agreement, it really depends on what's in there, what's covered. An absolute net deal means they pay everything. Don't be confused. Triple net means 3 things. It does not mean they pay for everything. So pay attention to that lease. All right, now we have the third kind of lease. Third lease is kind of a modified lease, and it's really the hybrid of 2. Sometimes you'll work a deal with the owner, typically, or the tenant, if you are the owner, and you'll kind of give them a base rent deal, and maybe they'll pay for a janitorial maintenance and, I don't know, taxes or something. So it's kind of the best of both worlds for the landlord. But tenant sometimes likes it because it gives them a better idea and a better handle of what they're really need to be focused on. So that's another thing you can do. Another lease you can do is you can add percentage on your net lease or typically not your gross, but on your net leases, you can add a percentage lease. And I've typically only seen these in retail, but if you have a restaurant and you maybe sell $3 million a year, what you can do, if you're the owner, you have the right or the option to tell your tenant, hey, listen, I'll let you operate your business out of this location, but I want to share in your gross sales. So typically you'll say, okay, anything over, I don't know, $2 million, you're going to pay me 2% of your gross sales above that. So if they're making $1 million a year and you establish, okay, $1 million is the cutoff, and they end up doing $2 million, then you get 2% of that $1 million. Not the first one that you guys established, the second. Anything over that $1 million, you'll get 2% of that. So that could be an added incentive for the landlord, because he's thinking, okay, if these guys do very good sales, I can take a little more from them rather than going with a national or franchise tenant. So that could be a really good addition, getting a percentage rents into the deal. You'll also probably hear about a baseline lease. I wouldn't pay too much attention to those. I've talked about that on my podcast. I rarely see them. Most of the time, you're going to have your gross or net, depending on where it is. If it's a location in downtown or something, more than likely you're going to have a net deal. Otherwise, if it's maybe in an office off in the beaten path, could be a gross deal. And really, one of the ways you want to negotiate your properties, if you can, as much as you can get net leases, that's really the best way to go, because you want to move all of the expenses off of your ledger onto the tenant as much as possible. You can't do that in multifamily properties, but you can do that in retail and office pretty easily. So let's say end of the year, you're still paying your taxes and insurance. If you can get whatever it is off of your side and move it on to the tenant as much as possible, your property is worth more and more attractive to an investor, because that's less they have to do and less they have to worry about. So even if you have to take a little less rent to move all of those expenses off of your ledger, that could be a really, really enticing thing for the next buyer. And if you're currently leasing commercial property, go ahead and answer the question of the day. What is your preferred lease type and why? And also leave a comment if you like this video, give me a thumbs up, subscribe to this channel, and I'll look forward to bringing you guys all kinds of useful content you could use in your business. Thank you for watching.